recording. All right, so on the screen, you will see 3 questions, right? Just for starters, I want you all to draw all 3. It's based on last week's work. And of course, after you draw them, attempt them, but draw it one at a time. Draw one, work it out. Draw the next one, then work it out, right? And of course, feel free to send your answers on the chat. This is just for revision purposes. Let's see what we get for the first one. Well, in the first one, like I mentioned a little while ago, this is an isosceles triangle. Now, usually when someone draws an isosceles triangle, and remember last week I was telling you, in most textbooks, when they start the explanation of an isosceles triangle, they draw it that the two sides that have the same length, they usually go upwards. Where the two same sides meet, you get the vertex angle. The vertex angle is the one that's different from the rest. The two similar angles, in other words, the base angles, will be down here. It's where the two legs extend out to be. These two angles will be equal. Also, remember, any straight line, the total amount of degrees is how much? 180 degrees. And there's another piece of theory here, alternating angles. If you all look at it carefully, if you have two parallel lines and you slice them, remember this angle and this angle will be the same. This is alternating angles. So I think we will have to use all 3 pieces of theory to get this out. Let me know on the chat, since I said that this angle is an isosceles triangle, are the 2 pink angles equal? What do you all think? Yes or no? The answer to that question is no, right? The isosceles triangle is rearranged. Remember, the 2 same sides, you have to extend it outwards. These 2 angles are not the same. Look at it carefully, right? These 2 sides are the same. So if we extend out like this, where the 2 same sides meet, that's actually the vertex angle. So I'm going to put that one in blue. The 2 angles, the base angles that are the same, are these 2 pink angles. It comes like that. This isosceles triangle, you kind of tilt it to the side. It rotates to the sides. So for those who got it wrong, I trust that you see the error now. Who can tell me what's the value of the blue angle? Keeping in mind that a straight line is 180 degrees. I just want this blue angle. Right? Get your calculators out there, right? It should be 180 minus 134, because a straight line is 180 degrees. We have roughly 134. How much again do we need to make 180? Well, we just simply have to subtract it. So 180 minus 134, I am getting 46. But that's not the end of the question, obviously. We are trying to find this angle up here. Now, since these 2 angles are equal, the pink angles, because of it being an isosceles triangle, to find the base angle, since all the angles in a triangle also add up to 180, we take 180 minus the 46, I made a small mistake there, minus the 46, that's this angle, and we have to make sure and divide the answer by 2. Now you have to be careful on the calculator, right? You want to divide the whole top by 2, so don't type in this straight on your calculator. Type in 180 minus 46, write down the answer, and then divide it by 2, and make sure you see this on your calculator. 180 minus 46 divided by 2, and I am getting roughly 67. Well, not roughly, exactly 67. Make sure you see it on your calculator, right? So that means each base angle here is 67. And you can double check it, you know. If you add up all the angles within the triangle, I bet you will get 180 degrees, right? Now, we're not finished. Do you all see the Z angles here? Well, alternating angles. Look at it. Zip, zip, zip. Remember, according to my diagram, here is 67. So that means the angle we are trying to find, because of alternating angles, is also 67. Right? So if you got 67, congrats. If you didn't get it, but you at least have a fair idea of what went on, also congrats. Get started on E, please. So for E, the first thing I noticed, right, was there's a kind of X over here. You're seeing it from here, that's this line, and then you have this straight line here. That's this line. Last week, I think we went through something called vertically opposite angles, which means if you have an X, the letter X, if one side is 48, then the other side, without any calculations, would also be what? 48. In other words, the opposite angles are equal. So that means that this angle here, without any calculations, I can know its value. It's 48. Next on the list, and I want you to look back, every time like I call a rule, look back at something called corresponding angles. Just take a flip back. That would have been almost at the beginning of class last week. Something called corresponding angles. Corresponding angles have to deal with two what? Parallel lines. And if you slice them and you pretend you have two eyes here, the two eyes are looking in the same direction, both of them looking kind of upwards, but they cannot see each other because there's a wall in between them. In a case like that, both angles have the same exact value. So what am I trying to say is that this angle is also 77. Look at it. This 77 and this 77 are looking in the same direction and they cannot see each other. From here, it's going to be very easy to find the letter X. You have a very small triangle here, but doesn't matter if it's a small triangle, doesn't matter if it's a large triangle. All the angles in a triangle add up to 180. So add the 48 and the 77 and minus it from 180 and send your answer on the chat. Right? I'll give you all a few seconds for that. 48 plus 77. 48 plus 77. Let me, where can I put it? Somewhere down here. 48 plus 77 is giving me 125. To find this angle, since all the angles in a triangle add up to 180, I just simply minus it from 180 and I will get 55 degrees. Have some fun with F, right? Now, if you notice, F is another isosceles triangle. It's trying to say that this length and this length, sorry, is the same, right? What they already tried, well, you all see a kind of alternating angle scenario here. Let me draw it back separately. You're seeing a Z there, that's this Z. Zip, 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 right? And the two lines are parallel. They have the arrows to show you that they are parallel. So if over here 76, using alternating angle theory, Z angles, we know without without any calculation, here would also be 76. So that means this angle here is 76. Now look at this properly, right? This isosceles triangle is lying on its side, okay? So this length and this length is the same. They meet over here. But this angle is the vertex angle. He is the odd one out in an isosceles triangle. He doesn't have the same value as the other two angles. This over here is a base angle. The two base angles are always the same. And remember how we got the first 76. We use alternating angle theory. Do you all think you all can find this pink angle for me? Using the the theory that all the angles in a triangle always add up to 180. So get the pink one for me first. You add 76 and 76, and whatever you get, you minus it from 180. 180 minus 76 minus another 76. I am getting 28. And I see a lot of people were putting that on the chat. So that's good news. It's not 22, it's 28. Right? Someone put 22 by mistake. Now, remember, a straight line is 180 degrees. This here is a straight line. If here is 28, how much is X? We just need the balance to get 180. So I think most people now will be able to send the correct answer. A straight line is 180. We have 28. What's the balance? And I think it would be what most people are sending now, 152 degrees. That's the final answer for X. So I think our friend Jedi is in some trouble here in the past. All right, so this one here, this exercise, I think most of you all will enjoy this one. These 4 questions are a little bit easier. It's mostly based on the theory that all the angles in a triangle add up to 180, and a straight line is also 180. All right, so I'll give you like a 5-minute head start. Try all 4. Feel free to send your answers. And of course, I will jump in a little while to help out. So in the first one, all we're basically saying here is that all the angles in any triangle add up to what? 180. So all we have to do is add the 75 and 32, and minus it from 180. So 75 plus 32, I'm getting 107. And to find E, I minus it from 180. And when I do that, I am getting 73 degrees, which was the most popular answer I saw so far, right? I'll work out the second one in a little while. The second one is almost like the first one, barely any difference. See, let's get out of it. So just like the first one, we're going to add up these 2 angles here, 68 and 71. And when I do that, let me see what I get. 68 plus 71. I am getting 139 degrees. So I just need to minus it from 180. And that's obviously going to give me 41. Right. Now, the next one here, you have to, in case some of you are a little new, whenever you see the box here, a box represents 90 degrees, a right angle. I think most people, I'm not too sure if that was on the SEA syllabus, but I think it should be. 90 degrees should have been on the SEA syllabus, right? And look at it properly. It's really a straight line. This is a straight line. All the angles in a straight line always add up to 180. Right? Take a few seconds, right? We have a straight line here. Like I said, a straight line is 180 degrees. So that means if here is 90, then the other part is also what? 90. Because 90 plus 90 will be 180. So if we add the 90 and 38, so add the 90 and 38. Let me see what we will get there. 90 plus 38. We will get 128 degrees. Take the 180 minus it from 180, and let me see what I get. I get 52. So for those who got 52, congrats. This one has two angles to find, H and I. I think finding H will be easier, all right? Because all the angles within a triangle, not outside, we're talking about inside the triangle, add up to 180. So if we add 57 and 74, so 57 plus what? 74. 57 plus 74, we will get 131 degrees. What we need to do now to find this angle, we minus it from 180. Let's see what we get there. And we will get 49 degrees. So this guy here is 49 degrees. Now look carefully. This here is a straight line. All the angles in a straight line always add up to 180. So to get angle I, we minus 49 from 180, and we will get 131 degrees. Right, so if you got the 49 and the 131, congrats. All right, if you didn't, once you understood where you went wrong, good enough. Okay, let's continue with the skit. Let's see what happens here. Oh, I think the dinosaur is chasing after Jetty there. All right, so some more work based on the isosceles triangle. The purpose of this particular exercise is to reinforce which ones are the base angles and which ones are the vertex angles by spinning around or altering the position of the isosceles triangle, right? Which I know gives a lot of students problems. So get started, and I'm going to jump in about, 5 minutes. Let's identify which two are the base angles. Now, where the sides of the same length are going downwards, those two angles will be the same. So the 30 and A are base angles, which means over here is also 30 degrees, because base angles in an isosceles triangle are always equal. Now we have to use the theory that all the angles in a triangle add up to how much? 180. 30 plus 30 is 60. 180 minus 60 is 120 degrees. For those who didn't submit answers, you can at least let me know on the chat if you had those two answers. At least you got the first one correct. This one had no tricks in it. No tricks in it at all. All right, so a lot of people did get it correct. That's good news. Right, now the next one, right? You notice they kind of tilt the isosceles on its side. But the two sides that are the same length, the two legs, remember I told you it has a kind of official name. The two sides that have the same length, you call them legs. So the legs extend out this way, which means C and this angle is the same. These two are the base angles. Not a lot of you all, some of you all might have said that C is also 40 degrees, but that's not true. The vertex angle is 40. So to figure out either of these angles, you take the 40 and minus it from what? The 180, you will get 140, but that remaining 140, it's split into two equal pieces. So you divide it by 2 and you get 70 degrees, which means he is 70, but more importantly, C is also 70. All right, so if you got that wrong, the working and the reasoning is on the screen. Take a 10 seconds, take it down, and then I'll work out the next 3 in one shot. In the third one, the two legs go outwards like this, right? You see the stroke for the two what? Same lengths. So that means the same length here, sorry. So that means this angle and this angle is the same, D and this angle. Which means that this 90 degrees is the vertex angle. So to figure out either of these angles, we do the same thing like over here. We take 90 minus it from 180, and then we have to do what? Divide it by 2. 180 minus 90 is 90. 90 divided by 2 is 45 degrees, which means he is 45 and he is what? 45. Right? So how much of y'all had, well, who didn't send answers? How much of y'all had that correct? Well, a little too shy to send it. Right? It's really important to identify which are the base, because the bases are equal. So let's get started with this one here. E, whenever you see a letter, like how you're seeing D and you're seeing C here, C is the same thing as 1C. It's just that nobody bothers to put the 1. So if I have the letter D, it's understood that the number in front is 1, right? Also, if you see something like E, that really means 1E, and 3E means obviously what exactly it looks like. You have 3 E's. So instead of, if the letter bugs you, think of it in terms of fruit. Let's consider an apple. If I have 1 apple and 3 apples, obviously how much apples do I have in total? 4 apples, all right? So just think of a letter that represents something in real life, and it would make it really easy to add or subtract. And keep in mind, a letter in maths just represents an unknown value, a value that you are trying to figure out. So let's move back to this triangle here. The legs go down this way, which means this angle and this angle are the same. So in terms of letters, what letter do you think I should put over here to represent this angle? We don't know the value of the angle, but we can put a letter to represent its value. It has to be the letter E. Because if here is E, then over here must have the same exact value. So the most appropriate thing to put is the letter E. I'll just put it outside, right? All the angles in a triangle add up to how much? 180 degrees. That means if we were to add up 1, 2, 3, the total of the angles is supposed to be equal to 180. So tell me, on the screen right now, how much E's do I have? Take a good look and add it up. Pretend it's apples. How much apples do I have? The letter E represents the word apple. I think we have 5 apples. Here we have 3 apples. We're going to add 1 apple again and then add another apple. 2 plus 3 is 5. So 5E, which represents the total of all the angles, is supposed to give us 180 degrees. Do you all think you all can solve for E? In the videos, I showed you how to solve for E. This 5 is a secret multiply. In maths, when you throw across a multiply, do you all remember what you get from the videos? You are going to get a divide. So that means if we want to solve for E, throw across the multiply, you get a divide. So how much is E? Just divide that on your calculator. 180 divided by 5. And I am getting 36 degrees. So you know what that means? On this diagram, wherever you see the letter E, you can throw it away and replace it with the letter E, which means let me get a different color here. The value of this angle here is 36 degrees because he is E. The value of this angle is also 36 degrees. But how much is this angle? 3E. In other words, 3 multiplied by E. So 3 multiplied by 36, because E is 36, is how much? 108 degrees. Now I could prove to you that my answer is correct. Remember we said all the angles in a triangle add up to 180? Add up 1, 2, 3, and see if you get back 180 degrees. That's like to check it in the exam to make sure you didn't make any mistakes. So let's try this last one. I don't think this one is too difficult. The 2 legs are going downwards. So that means this angle and this pink angle will be the same. All right. So since this angle and this angle is the same because of isosceles, you take the 48 and minus it from 180 and you divide it by 2. It's going to be divided up into 2 equal pieces. 180 minus 48 is 132. 132 divided by 2 is 66 degrees. So we know F. F is 66 degrees. And he is also 66 degrees without any further calculation. So we have F, but we still need to find G. A straight line is 180 degrees. This is a straight line. So if we know piece of that straight line is 66, that is this 66, to find G is just 180 minus 66. And I am getting 114 degrees. But confirm it on your end. Right? All right. So what do you all think he's going to do? You think he's going to jump into the water to save himself? What do you all think? Some of you all are saying yes. All right, let's see what happens. Oh, I showed this slide by mistake just now. All right. but the dinosaur fell with him, right? So all right, so moving on to something that only looks slightly more scary, but believe me, it's going to be super easy. We've done a lot on triangles so far, and all the angles in a triangle always add up to 180 degrees. But now we're on four sides, better known as quadrilaterals. Quadrilaterals, any four-sided figure in the world, when you add up all the inside angles, we only care about the inside angles, right? Always add up to 360 degrees. Any four-sided shape, you're talking about a square, a rectangle, a trapezium, a kite, a diamond. Once it has only four sides, it's 360. I am very sure that you all can get the majority of this one correct. You can at least get question 1 correct and question 2 correct. In the other questions, it has things like 3C rather than just 1C. And the other one has D and D. So if you get trouble with 3 and 4, it's not a problem. But try your best to at least get 1 and 2 correct. So I think we just need to add these three angles, 69, 86, and 93, right? So we'll add these three. Let me see what I get. 69 plus 86 plus 93. I am getting 248. Now all the angles has to be what? 360. So we just minus it from what? 360. And I am getting for the value of A, 112 degrees, well, which quite a few people did send. So that's good news. I think the second one was equally as easy, same exact procedure. We have to add up the three given angles, 76, 103, and 89. 76 plus 103 plus 89. When I add up those three, I get 268. To find B, we minus it from the total of 360. And I get B to be 92. Right? So seeing some people are working out on 3, right? Now, when you're solving for C, you want to know the value of C, common C. You don't care about the entire 3C. You only want to find the value of 1C. Let me give you a little jump start. So remember, we're trying to find the value of 1C, not the whole 3C. But whether they put C or 3C doesn't change the fact that when you add up all the angles, all 4 angles, you are going to get 360. So I think we can make an equation out of this. So let's add up the 3 angles we're sure about, the 129, 67, and 74. Well, when you add up these 3, how much do you get on your calculator? Let's just do that small part first. Let me try it on this end too, so I can confirm it. 129 plus 67 plus 74. I'm getting 270. So here what? These 3 angles add up to 270. But we have a third angle here, and the value of that third angle is 3C. Now, if we take this entire angle, which is 3C, and we add it to 270, the total is supposed to be equal to 360 degrees. I just created an equation for that scenario. And the beauty of the homework is now, for the homework, if you are given an equation and you have a letter, you can solve for the letter. using basic algebra skills. Like when you throw across a positive, you get a minus, or you throw across a multiply to get a divide. So let's quickly solve for C. To solve for C, we want to get C on one side and everyone else on the other side. So let's throw across the 270. Remember, this 270 is an add. Throw him across, you're going to get what? A minus. 360 minus 270 is 90 degrees. Okay? But we want to solve for C. In maths, when a number touches a letter, there's a secret multiply in between. In other words, 3C is the same thing as 3 multiplied by C. When you throw across a multiply, you're going to get what? A divide. So this 3, when it goes across, it becomes a divide. 90 divided by 3 is 30 degrees, right? So C is 30 degrees. And I could actually prove that that answer is correct. If we just found C to be 30 degrees, how much is 3C? 3 multiplied by C, 3 multiplied by 30 is 90. Add 90, 74, 67, and 129, and see if you get back 360 degrees, because all the angles inside a quadrilateral is supposed to be 360 degrees, right? And I'll give you a hint for number 4. You could use almost the same procedure, D and a next D. If I have one D and then I have another D, that's how much D's in total, 2 D's. We clear the screen here. So let's add up the 2 angles we know for sure. 106 and 112. 106 plus 112 is 218. So when you add these two, you get 218. Now we still have 2 other angles to add, D and a next D. So that's 2D. When we add up all the angles in any quadrilateral, the total is supposed to be 360 degrees. So if we are trying to solve for D, we have to make sure D is on one side and everyone else is on the other side. Throw across the positive 218, you're going to get what on the other side? Minus 218. So we have 2D, 360 minus 218 is 142 degrees. But are we finished? No, we want to solve for D alone. So in maths, when you have a number touching a letter, it's a secret multiply. Throw across the multiply, you get a divide. So I think D is 71 degrees. And I think we could actually prove this, because if D is 71 and this D is another 71, add up 1, 2, 3, 4, and see if you really get back 360 degrees. All right, so here's what I need for you all to do, right? Believe it or not, CXC has recently started back to bring these questions in the exams, right? Like you need to know the properties of a parallelogram, a rhombus, you know, rectangle, square, and a kite. I'm not going to ask everyone to write down this now, right? This is something that everyone can do in their spare time, because if I ask everyone to write and draw this now, it's going to take away from the calculation part of class. So here's what is one of the two things you can do at this point. Take a screenshot, right? And finish it, draw back and write back everything in your books for next week. Or you can simply just wait for what? The recording to be uploaded, which I will explain after class as promised, and take it down from that point, right? So take a 10 seconds and decide what you want to do. I know most of you all would just prefer to take the screenshot. Either way, let me know when you are finished, whether it's a screenshot or you're just waiting until the slide to change. Oh, we have a next piece of the skit here. All right, so let's move on there and let's see what the next set of questions are about. All right, so we have some more shapes here. Most of them are quadrilaterals, but it's going to help. You know, some of them, look at this guy here. He is actually what? A kite. And in the note just now, there were some properties of a kite, but I will talk it through in a little while. I believe everyone can do the first one without any major issues. So let's quickly send the answer for the first one. This is just simply a four-sided figure. Any four-sided figure in the world, the angles add up to how much? 360 degrees. So we know this means 90 degrees. We know this means 90 degrees. So you're adding up 1, 2, 3, and you're minusing it from what? 360 degrees, right? This one is pretty simple. It's just the letter A. So 90 plus 90 plus 52 is how much? 90 plus 90 plus 52 is how much? 232 degrees. To find A, we just minus it from 360. And yeah, you guys are 100% correct. It's 128 degrees. Fine, no problem with that one. But this one is a kite. Now, what you need, what are the properties of a kite? Well, first of all, a kite has 4 sides. So you all notice it has 1, 2, 3, 4. In a kite, 2 sides, the opposite sides, you see how these 2 sides are kind of like opposite each other? They will always have the same length. So they have 1 stroke to indicate that, hey, both of them have the same length. The other 2 opposite sides they also have the same length, but they will be a little bit longer than the other 2 sides. So they have 2 strokes, meaning that those 2 sides have the same length, but it's not the same as the other 2 before. What you need to know about a kite, the opposite angles, right? Look at it properly. Huh? These 2 will not be equal. These 2 are not equal. It's these 2 that will be equal. Always, always in a kite. I mean, just by looking at it, you can see this angle is smaller and this angle is what? Larger. Everyone could see that relationship. That, in other words, if you draw a line of symmetry, right? A line of symmetry will make it into two equal halves. The two angles on either side of the line of symmetry will always, always, always be equal, always. So without any calculation, further calculation, what is the size of angle B? What do you all think? It's not a trick question. It's really not a trick question. It will be 116. So that one is easy to reason out, right? These two are always equal. Now, is it okay to say C is 46 degrees? Because he is 46, this one is 46. Is that okay to say, sorry? That is definitely not okay. But how do we calculate C? Well, all the angles in a quadrilateral add up to 360. So if you know here's 116 and here's 116 and here's 46, add up 1, 2, 3 and minus it from 360 and you will get the value of C. $116 plus another 116 plus Mr. 46 here. That gives us how much? 116 plus 46. Minus it from 360. 82 degrees. Right, a lot of people send that way before I wrote it out. Right. While you all take down that one, for those who are finished, what shape is this one? Where two sides, the opposite sides are parallel. Like these two sides are parallel and these two sides are parallel. What's the name given to that shape? Right, Huggins, correct. Kim, correct. That is definitely a parallelogram. Now, in a parallelogram, but hence its name, parallel, right? It indicates that something is parallel. The opposite sides are parallel, but they are also the same length. In other words, the length of this side is the same length of the opposite side. So the opposite sides have the same length and they also parallel. These two sides are also the same length. So if here's 7 centimeters, over here is also 7 centimeters. Now, to me, the parallelogram is one of the easiest types of questions. The opposite angles are always equal, always. So if here is 60, then D is how much? Since they are opposite. Here would also be 60 degrees. If here is 120, the angle opposite is also 120. Now do me a favor, add up all 4 angles and see if you get back 360 degrees. I think if you add them up, you will get 360 degrees. Right? And at the end of the day, even though a parallelogram has a fancy name, it's still a quadrilateral. So it still has to obey the law that all its internal angles have to add up to 360. The last one has no tricks in it. I'm not too sure why I put such an easy question, but you all can more than calculate F. For me, this is not any special type of quadrilateral. It's just a quadrilateral. One. Right? When you add up 1, 2, 3, 4, you're supposed to get what? 360 degrees. So here's 90. Obviously, this is a right angle. So we're going to add up all 3 and then minus it from 360 to get F. 52 plus 104 plus 90 is 246. All right. Minus 360. How much were you all saying? 114? I think that was the popular answer coming up. Yep, 114. All right, so just take a 10 seconds. I don't think you'll need much time to take. That's the one. Did I make a mistake, guys? Someone is telling me I made a mistake. 52 plus 104 plus 90. Anybody see any mistakes? I think it correct. No, I double checked it. This is somebody told me I was wrong. Right, so Vishan, you want to check it back? 52 plus, I'm double checking it. 52 plus 104 plus 90 is 246. Vishan, check it back, check it back. Homework. Let's just see what's next on the list here. Oh, they probably make it into the all right, I just wanted to see the questions that we had asked. All right, so here's what I need for you all to do, right? I'll pause this. All right, so I just sent you two things on the chat there, the YouTube link. Obviously, well, I would advise that everyone subscribe to the YouTube channel in case my website goes down. You can access everything via the YouTube channel. But the other link is the school website. That's the iLoveLessons.com. When you click on that, or when you finally make it to the school website, it will look like this. It's a very, very boring website. It's pure white, not much graphics. To access today's class, of course, last week's class, all you have to do is click on summer recorded classes in the menu. It's very, very easy to find. Scroll down and you're looking for Saturday because today is Saturday and that's when our maths class is. And you will see it over here. Saturday maths, well, last week class is here and I'll put today's class above this one by tomorrow, right? So you can always keep track of all the classes you missed. Believe me, every single class that has went since the summer classes have started, it's posted up under summer recorded classes. The homework is this. You have to go to the maths classroom. There are some videos I need you to do inside there. So you're going to click on the maths classroom because it's maths class. And you're going to the very, very first lesson, right? You'll see plenty lessons. Only concentrate on lesson 1. Click on lesson 1, right? And when you go inside lesson 1, you'll see plenty videos. Don't get scared. You're only doing the first 7, 1, 2, 3, and you go all the way down to 7. You will see some worksheets. Make sure and do the worksheets. It will help you practice of what is learned in the videos. It also comes with the answers. So you just need to do what? Work towards the answers. All right, so that again, you're going into the maths classroom. Go to lesson 1 and do the first 7 videos. And I think I wrote it here also. In case you forgot, right? Well, here, just make a note of it. It will be easier that way. Let me write it out here for you, right? So for the homework, you're going to the math classroom on the school website. From there, you're clicking on lesson 1, and then you're doing what? Videos 1 to 7, right? Make proper notes, make sure you understand it, do the worksheets. So once you understand what the homework is, you are free to leave. And I'll see some of you all next week, right? And some of you all have English after.